All right, so today we're going to cover what is a publicist. I'm really excited to have one of our publicists here, Melanie Parncutt. She is an amazing person and has years of experience working with clients, and she's going to walk us through kind of what a publicist does, what their day-to-day jobs, what tools they use, and how they can be successful. So, all right, Melanie, what is a publicist?
Essentially, publicists are the link between our clients and the public. So we're communication experts and liaisons who connect experts and industry thought leaders with the media.
Perfect. So, walk me through. All right, I'm a client. What do I expect when I sign up with a publicist? Obviously, a PR firm, there's expectations, there's packages, but what is the publicist's job? What do you do on a day in and day out to help these clients get published?
Yeah, so what we do is we work with clients to get them featured in the media. So that can be through feature stories, byline opportunities, podcast interviews, radio, and TV. So we work to land them those opportunities to share the expertise that they have.
Cool. So, how do you find the stories? I think that's always a big question. Is people come in, they say, "Oh, I have a boring story. I don't have a story. There's nothing unique about me. I sell blinds." How do you come up with unique angles? What does that process look like?
Yeah, so a lot of our clients are super humble, and a lot of people don't necessarily think that they have the expertise to share. So, what we do is we combine their already existing expertise with things that are already trending in the media. So, we do a lot of media monitoring every single day to identify the trends that are already existing in the media. And then we work with our clients to identify what unique expertise they can provide to these conversations. And then we work with them to send these key messages out to the media.
All right. As you're kind of creating these stories, what does it look like when a client starts with you? I know you build a strategy. Walk me through what that strategy looks like. What are you highlighting in that strategy, and kind of how do you build it?
Yeah, so what we do with our clients is in that initial strategy call that we have with them, we run through their initial expertise and we identify some key messages, some verticals, and some strategies that we're going to take. And then after that, we go ahead and we craft a client bio and we go ahead and start sending out pitches to the media that are going to highlight that expertise.
Okay. So as a publicist, obviously you're setting pitches. So that's a big part of the job is communicating with the media, with the press. Explain to me what that means, setting a pitch. What does it look like from, creating that story to are you emailing it? Are you doing press releases? What does that look like?
Yeah, so pitches are a bit different than press releases because pitches are going to be a very condensed version of the story that we're trying to pitch out. So, what we're trying to do is find the shortest way to get this information out to the reporters, to get their attention, and to get them interested in a potential interview with our clients.
Okay. And then you're doing that through email, through text messages, through phone calls, through what does that
Yeah.
method look like?
Yeah, so mainly it's through email. So it's going to be short form communication through email. So we try to keep them as brief as possible and try to get as much information as we can across within the fewest amount of words.
How do you identify who you're actually telling that story to, the journalist who might be interested in covering it?
Yeah, so this is a really important part of the job for being a publicist. So publicists need to make sure that these media lists that we are creating or our outreach is super tailored to what the journalist covered. So what we do is we go ahead and identify journalists that have a specific beat. So they could be writing about a specific topic, let's say corporate leadership or management, and then we identify some of their recent stories and see what they're covering, and then we find the best clients who would be best suited to speak to them.
Okay. I mean, that sounds very time consuming. I know at Otter we use a lot of software to help streamline that. What's kind of some of your favorite tools that helps you really identify the right people to pitch to?
Yeah, so there's a lot of tools that publicists use to build these media lists. Two of my favorites are probably Cision and Meltwater. These are media tools that allow us to have contact information for all of these journalists, and it has a lot of filters where we're really able to tailor our pitches to the correct journalist based on their beats, who they write for, how often they write, and other components like that.
Awesome. So Meltwater and Cision are your two kind of favorites.
Yeah.
Is one better for a certain thing than the other?
I wouldn't say one is necessarily better than the other. One software may have different context than the other, so it's always important to maybe use both because you don't know who you could be finding on one software as opposed to the other. One feature that I really do like that Meltwater offers is media monitoring that we do for a lot of our clients. So we're able to actually track the amount of times our client was mentioned throughout the web, blog posts, throughout socials, and it's a really useful tool for publicists to use to show their clients where they've been featured.
Perfect. So, when you have a client that's less known, a newer business, it's obviously you have to be more creative to get those pitches out there, and you're really letting the media know. But what do you do when you have a more famous client, someone who already has a lot of press, who has incoming? What's that process look like where it's more based on their incoming requirements?
Yeah, so for this unique opportunity. Publicists are usually more of a liaison for these clients. So a lot of these experts, like you mentioned, are getting interest from a ton of publications, or a lot of people want to have them on their podcast. What we do is really help them refine these requests that are coming in and figure out which ones are going to be most impactful for their business. So we go ahead and only push forward the best opportunities for them and make sure that they have a consistent stream of coverage.
That's awesome. So I know one of our clients, Mary Bertola, through her campaign, she was getting hundreds of requests a day for interview. So if that was your client, I know you weren't involved in that account, but kind of, every client's different, but what are some metrics that you're looking for? You mentioned the most impactful. Are you talking about the most views? Kind of what would you how would you guide your client?
Yeah, so what we do in those case scenarios is we try to push our clients toward top tier opportunities. So these are going to be the publications that are more well known and have really high viewership and readership. So this is meaning that a lot of people are reading these publications, and these are the top tiers that you think of. So Forbes, Fortune, USA Today, CNN, all the big publications that we really think these stories are going to get the most traction.
Cool. So for any clients out there listening, do you have any advice to clients when working with publicists? I know that one of our big pet peeves as a company is people that don't show up to interviews. What are some pieces of advice that you can give clients to be successful working with you?
Yeah, so one of my biggest pieces of advice is to always be timely and to always be responsive. So the media works on very, very tight deadlines. So if they're looking for an expert to comment on their story, it's really important that if you are working with a publicist or a PR firm, that you're ready and responsive to these requests, because that's going to increase your chances of landing those top tier opportunities.
Yeah, I definitely agree, especially with trending news and stories. If sometimes one of our team members is a TV anchor, and he'll call and say, "Hey, I have 15 minutes. I need to fill this spot. Can you find someone?" So if the first person picks up their phone wins.
Mm-hmm.
What about potentially new professionals entering the communications realm of the field? Any advice on getting that first job, what to look for anything like that?
Yeah, so personal branding is very important no matter what industry you're in. And I would say for anybody looking to get into the field, to approach it with confidence and to do your research before you go into the interview. So you should know who you're interviewing with. You should know some talking points going into it. Preparation always goes a long way. So that would probably be my best piece of advice.
Awesome. And then what about your first couple of weeks in the job? What was something that you wish someone had just told you so you could come in prepared for?
Be flexible. So the publicist role takes a lot of flexibility because you're working with clients who are on busy schedules, and then you're also working with the media who's on extremely tight schedules. So you have to be really flexible in meeting those deadlines and trying to accommodate to both parties. And you're going to be a little bit in the middle, but just be prepared to be flexible, because that's what's going to take to be successful.
So any last kind of advice, or how do kind of people potentially wanting to work with you get in contact with you?
Yeah, you can add me on LinkedIn at Melanie Parncutt, or you can also follow me on Otter PR's website.
Awesome. All right. Well, thank you so much for being here. We're excited for next time.